Hey, everyone. This is Realtor Pamela Lewis, team lead for Team McKinney and broker for Realty Executives. How are y'all doing? Thank you so much for coming back to check my channel out. Channel's growing. I appreciate you all. Mwah, mwah. For those, if this is your first time checking out my channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So, today's topic is going to be about condos, or the full name, condominiums. So, up next, check out my pros and cons of condominium. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the like button if this video helped you out, and let's get started. So, let's first define what a condominium is. Some of you all that are listening to this video, you may have never heard about condos or condominiums. So thank you so much for checking out this video. So condominiums essentially are they essentially are apartments, or sometimes in our area, in the Hampton Roads area, I know other areas are similar to this, there are homes that are individually owned. So either the apartment is individually owned or the home is individually owned, but the common areas are owned by everyone in the complex. So you would have full title to the apartment that you own or the house you own, typically the interior parts of the home or the apartment, and typically the outside would be the common areas, would be the association. There are exceptions to the rule, and that's for everything in life. If you do have a single-family condo, depending on how your bylaws are written, you may own the exterior and interior of your home. All right, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. All right, let's jump into the pros and cons. We're going to do a little different this time. You know, I'm a super positive person, so I always start with the pros, but this time I want to mix it up a little bit. Let's start with the cons first, and then we're going to go into the pros. All right, let's start. We're going to talk about 5 cons for condominiums. One con for owning a condo. This is for adjoined property. So this will be like considered the apartment style condos. You only own the interior of that condo. Again, you only own the interior of the condo. So it's different than when you own a single family house where you own the interior and the exterior of the home. But for a condo, you would only own the interior. So that's a con. 2, con of owning a condo. Do you like your freedom? You don't have much freedom when you own a condo. When it comes to, let me say it a different way. When it comes to the exterior of the property. So let's just say you wanted a yellow door, but that's not in the bylaws or the rules and regulations as far as how the colors in the condo association. So you wouldn't be able to do that. Maybe you have a favorite sports team or a favorite college and you wanted to hang a flag in the garden. Well, you got to check your rules and regulations. They may not allow flags. Let's say you like to keep your Christmas decorations up way past Christmas. Well, not in the condo association. They typically will have a time period of when you can hang your holiday decorations. You want to move anytime, maybe in the wee hours of the night. Well, not in the condo association. Some will let you move at any time. It's just depending on how the setup is. If you're in a high-rise building, you typically can only move between 9 and 5. But you got to check the rules and regulations. And for that, it has to do with noise and sound disturbing the other owners in the complex. If you do live in a condominium complex that actually has a walk-up and you have your own door to go inside your unit, they may not have as much restrictions. And then if you're in a single family condo, you typically don't have any restrictions as far as I've seen looking at rules and regulations with moving in during the different times of moving in. All right. The third con of owning a condo, the fees. So when you own a condo, typically you will have monthly fees that you have to pay to the association. Now these fees could be from anywhere from $100 to $200 to $300 on up. It could be as much as like $1,000 a month. It just depends on what the association is including in their fees. Now there are some exceptions in the Hampton Roads area, specifically like in the Virginia Beach area. And I think I've seen them in Norfolk too. I don't think I've seen it in the Peninsula area just yet, and I could be wrong about this. But there are some situations where the builder built the homes and considered them condos, but there is no association that was ever created. And so you wouldn't have any condo fees. And then there are some associations that have been defunct where they have no association and they have not been charging any fees. But those things are really tough to sell. So definitely know what you're getting yourself into. When you use a real estate agent, they will typically see that and can guide you in that direction. But yeah, definitely the fees. So the fees could stay constant every year. But they also could go up just depending on what your association is doing. So what I like to do is I'd like to tell my clients is when we get this package, so when you purchase a home, you're going to have a time period in the Commonwealth of Virginia, about 72 hours to review the documents. I like to guide the buyers to look at the budget and to see what the association is charging for. Now, one of the big ticket items you're going to have when you live in a condo association is going to be the management company. That could be anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 to $60,000 a year that they're charging to manage your association. So that's actually divided by all of the homeowners that live in the condo complex. But there are some associations, condo associations, that do self-management. Self-management is when the owners in the actual complex actually manage their own association. And there's pros and cons to that. That's a later on video. But your fees could, include a lot of things. And I'll go over that in the pros. Because that is one of the pros is what the fees could include. Fourth con of living in a condo complex. So I just talked about fees. How about assessments? You probably have never even really used that word in your life because why? But for condo associations, assessment is like the plague. No assessments. So assessments, they kind of break it down in layman's terms. Is that there has been some cost that was not included in the budget, or that budget item ended up being more that's been budgeted for. Ooh, that was a tongue tie. So when that happens, or say there could have been a catastrophe, it could have been a lawsuit, or there could have been a fire, and let's just say there's not enough money in the budget to cover that. So what happens in a condo association, since you all now share the common areas and no one owns the exterior of their units, that you all would divide that cost amongst all the people that live in the condo complex. So yeah. So let's just say too, like the decks or something that have never been budgeted for. So I always like to look too to make sure there's been an assessment. And the word wouldn't be assessment. There would be a report on how long things that are owned by all the owners are going to last them. There's a word for that, and I cannot think of it. But anyway, let's talk about like typically condo associations, you own the parking spaces, like the pavement. So that's going to need to be redone at some point. There's a certain amount of years that'll last. Let's say if you have a common mailbox, there might be shrubbery and there might be plants everywhere around the association. Well, that has to be accounted for because that has to be replanted unless you have annuals. The groundskeeping has to be put into the budget. So yeah, you want to see how long things are going to last and how things are being budgeted for. That's super important. That will help eliminate any assessments because most people don't like those because they usually blindside you. You're not ready and usually have a certain date you have to pay those assessments. That's part of your rules and regulations, your bylaws. So yeah, you need to know that. The fifth con of owning a condo, the appreciation. What the heck is appreciation, Realtor Pamela Lewis? I know you wanted to ask me. Well, the appreciation is how much your condo is going to be worth from today and in the future. So each year, a home typically in our area will appreciate or increase in value 3 to 4%. Hey guys. So this is my other son. I've been wanting to get him in the video, so I'm glad he came in. So let me just finish 1 second, Mason. So we're going to talk, so appreciation. So typically the appreciation of how much the condo is going to be worth from this year to next year is typically going to be less than the normal appreciation of a single family home. So that's really important for you to know too when owning a condo. Now, in this current market that we're in 2020, I mean, there's not much inventory for people to choose from, so people are choosing condos. But one of the things that usually does hold people back from purchasing condos, and what usually keeps the amount of money in condos low, is because people look at their total budget. So remember, if you're looking at your total budget and you have a monthly fee, buyers are looking at that, and they want to make sure they don't go over their budget. So if they have a $100 fee, with the rates being under 3%, that typically is going to be like 50 grand more or less they could be buying in a house. So, yeah. The second
We're back,
pro,
guys.
We're back. So, second pro, and he's going to be learning my editing. The second pro of condominiums is the shared expenses. So, we talked about fees as a con, but on the flip side, when you do have the fees, you have shared expenses. That could be anywhere from having a pool in the condominium complex, a gym, which is cool because that could save you money from having to pay for a gym. Playgrounds, especially for people like me who have kids who have lots of energy, they love playgrounds. Or you could have boating access, beach access, lake access, which is cool because that saves you money from having to buy a house in those areas, right? Because that could save you definitely some money. Also, too, trash, water pickup, sewage, that could be included. Typically in your condo association fees, you have insurance that's included in there, which will include everyone in the condo complex. So you typically will only need like called a renter's policy, which will cover your interior contents. So let's just say there was a fire. Hopefully there isn't a fire, but if you do have a fire, the condo complex will usually cover everything from the outside walls into the drywall you would pick up at the drywall. And then, like your TVs and cell phones and couches and all that, your renter's insurance would cover that. Third pro of living in a condo complex, the pride of ownership. I don't think I've been to any condos in the Hampton Roads that I drove in and was like, ew, it's ugly in here. Usually they're all pretty because they are keeping a rotation on landscaping, seasonal flowers. You typically will see that year round, just depending on what seasonal for the different complexes. And then, they always keep it clean and cut because you get those nasty grams from the association if you do leave like your trash out, or if you put anything that's not allowed, you will get a letter from your association saying, hey, you better stop. And then you get a second letter that typically says, hey, since you didn't stop, we're assessing you a fee. Fourth pro of living in a condo complex. Typically, condominium complexes, and I've lived in a condo complex. That was my first house. My first place that I bought was in a condo complex, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. We had a doorman, so that was part of our condominium expense too. And like all of our utilities were included, so I really loved living there. But typically, it's a tight-knit community. So since you do live in in close quarters, depending on your style of condo that you do choose to live in, usually people do know each other. And if you go use some of the like the pool and the mason, people are gonna see that there's a light. I'm not gonna think that my face is just glowing naturally. So, if you use it, sometimes they have holiday parties. They typically do have like holiday parties and like potlucks and stuff you could go to. So, people really get to know each other because you guys are living in a tight-knit community. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so my fifth pro, and this is pretty tough, but I think this is a good fifth pro for living in a condo complex. They're usually really easy to rent out because once you do move out, all the things that I said about the pros are looking good, all the amenities that comes with it, the tight-knit community, the low maintenance. Usually people who are looking to rent love that.
I'm a Frankenstein.
They love that aspect of the condo. Now, you just have to know this. This is a neat trick for you to know. So if you're not going to live in this condo complex for the rest of your life, you think at some point you're going to live there just for a few years and then you're going to want to rent it out, you need to check to make sure the association allows you to do that. Some associations have restrictions because they want to keep their FHA approval. And if you're not sure what FHA is, go back to my video on FHA. But you want to make sure that they do allow that, because FHA has a restriction on the amount of people that rent compared to the amount of people who own that live in the complex. And also, too, for VA loans. And if you're not familiar with VA loans, go check out my video on that. But sometimes VA has a restriction on how many people live in the complex, owners or tenants. So hopefully that helps you out with knowing about condo complexes. So guys, thank you so much for checking out this video on the pros and cons of condo complex.
Make sure you vote.
Make sure you vote, coming up in November. So thank you for letting Realtor Pamela Lewis and my second child, Mason, come into your home, or maybe you're at the gym, or maybe you're riding around town. Keep your eyes on the road. But thank you for letting us be here with you guys, and just to kind of tell you what you need to know about owning a condominium complex. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you leave any comments if you own a condominium or if you have in the past. I would love to hear your experience. I know everybody has their own experiences, what they've gone through with associations, especially homeowner associations. And I'll be having a video on homeowner associations too later on. But yeah. So thank you so much for checking me out. Check out my other videos if you have not. Have a great day. You want to say anything, Mason?
Smash that thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and ring that bell.
Oh, wow. And I didn't even tell him how to do that. So thanks, Mason. Okay.
Hi, guys. Bye, guys.
That's it?
I don't know what to say.
You could say anything.
I don't know what though.
You've been wanting to be on YouTube. What are some of the things you want to say?
I don't know.
What things do you know? This dude can actually do a backflip
I can't.
into the pool. He did it last summer and he amazed me. Do you remember that?
No.
Huh? He don't remember. Short-term memory.